In our last video, we talked about cash flow freedom. So what does cash flow freedom mean? Let's talk about this today. As early retirees, by 2020 at the age of 40, my wife Fran and I were often mistaken as a FIRE couple. While yes, we did retire early by 2020 and we did hit our F.I.R.E, but we were actually not actively practicing FIRE. Before I continue, I'd first like to share that FIRE by itself is actually a very powerful concept that has good structure and great financial principles for people to follow to hit financial independence. For Fran and I, the corporate breakout couple, there are certain things and certain deviations from this FIRE that we don't practice, which is why we qualify ourselves more like a cash flow couple rather than a FIRE couple. One of the things that we don't follow is the 4% annual drawdown from the investment portfolio. Now, that's something that, for me, I feel that is very limiting. Why do I say that? It's because you're kind of capped at a certain amount that you can spend every year, isn't it? And you got to kind of plan out 1 year in advance. And should something happen to your portfolio, it means usually you got to cut costs, you got to tighten down even more, correct? So let's say in a business, would you focus on increasing revenue rather more than focusing on cutting costs? Well, both are important, but personally, I feel in order to go into a state of abundance, a mind where you have always feel like there's opportunities, you should actually focus on increasing the income, the revenue of a business rather than cutting costs. So in a way, the 4% is kind of like, keeping yourself to that 4% or lesser to kind of keep to a budget, keep to a cost. And in terms of mindset, sometimes that brings you to a mind of scarcity. And as the years go by, with more inflation, inflation catching up and actually running faster than 4%, 3 to 4% as kind of projected in FIRE as well, right? You might end up not having enough money, and what do? As a result, you cut even more because you actually don't stay in tune with the market. You lost the skill set to make more streams of income, and there lies the problem. Another reason why we don't call ourselves a FIRE couple is because after you hit a FIRE number, it kind of stops, doesn't it? It's kind of like a lot of stories that you read, a lot of articles about these FIRE couples who just go off the grid with their fully paid house, of course, because that's part of FIRE. And then the next 30, 40 years of their lives, they just stay at the same location, same place, and kind of do something similar. Of course, yes, they travel and all that, but the place where they are based is pretty much at the same place. And for me, personally, that's kind of dangerous because you're kind of building up a comfort zone, and as you get older and older and older, you don't stop, you stop using your brain, you stop creating, you kind of just, settle in, life slows down. And I kind of felt that for 2 years in 2020, 2022, where I didn't do anything at all. Fran and I both, before we shifted over from Singapore to Penang. Do follow our story if you're on this channel and like and subscribe, of course. And we share all these stories since we retired, right? Since we got on this YouTube channel. So we don't really follow FIRE. We don't like the idea of staying put at one place and building too strong a comfort zone, because in order for you to combat the ever-changing times of this world, you want to learn being comfortable being uncomfortable. You want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, which means you don't want to stay up or stay at one place, be too comfortable and do the same thing time and again. And that's not something that Fran and I like. That's why we don't really agree with this part of FIRE. Of course, I'm not saying all FIRE couples are like that. There are a lot of FIRE people who either went back to work or, they went to start something new, different side hustles, and actively stay in the game. And that's great. But I'm referring to FIRE couples who already made it, they done it and retired and, stopped doing anything completely apart from just, passively managing their portfolio. So to me, that's kind of like, saying stopping life too early. When Avengers Endgame came out and everybody was so excited about it, and when it ended, everybody, gave their applause and everything went well. A few years after that, Marvel found it very difficult to restart the whole, the whole series again, right? Because it did so well. So that's the thing, my point. Don't have an end game in your life that you think your life stops. And I want to share with you this in advance because I've been retired for 6 years. A lot of people feel that getting to that F.I.R.E number, to that retired life is, wow, the end game, and you made it and you don't have to do anything else for the rest of your life. It's actually not. It's actually the start of a new beginning. That's when your life starts to get really, really exciting because you have full control over your life and you can do whatever you want. And it's a double-edged sword because if you choose not to do anything, you don't want to be purposeful, you don't want to find a cause bigger than yourself so that you can raise your game, that's where you may start to, dwindle into a lifestyle where you just get more and more trapped and it becomes more and more boring. One last thing that Fran and I do not quite follow is practicing frugality. In the FIRE movement, being frugal is part of it. You are, in order to hit your FIRE number faster, you want to save 50, 60, even 70% of your income so that you have more money to save and invest to then compound to hit your FIRE number faster. But of course, in that regard, for the years that you are actively practicing frugality, it could get quite miserable because you are putting a hard stop, to what you can spend, especially on your wants. Because we're human beings, right? We have emotions, and sometimes we do want to spend money, even as a coping mechanism, right? From your work stress and all that. But Fran and I fell into it by accident. We did it for 2 years when we were hawkers. So we were hawkers in 2018 to 2019, and we worked 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. So pretty much, even if we wanted to spend money, we couldn't. And if we want to go on holidays, we wouldn't want to because it will stop away means our revenues, we don't have revenue coming in. Now, we also don't need like work clothes. Fran doesn't need her makeup as well. So we kind of became frugal by accident. All we wanted to do was to go home and sleep and just watch our Netflix, and that's about all we wanted to do. All right, so I would highly recommend everybody to practice frugality for at least 1 to 2 years so that you understand the meaning of delayed gratification, right? You learn how to separate your basic needs and your wants, because as long as your basic needs are handled, your wants is actually optional. And that's something good for you to practice so that you understand the meaning, of control, right? The control of your money. Now, do I want to practice frugality for the whole of my life, even after I hit my FIRE? That brings me back to point number 1, having the 3 to 4% drawdown. No, I don't want to, because if I hit my retired lifestyle, I want to be able to retire well. I want to be able to have money to spend on different travel locations as far as possible, if I like to. I'd like to have money to spend on people. I'd like to have money to spend and invest on my healthcare. That means more supplements. That means gym memberships, gym training, anything that can help me to increase my longevity, right? If I hit early retirement early, like for my case, at the age of 40, my focus is actually to increase my longevity, to live long and to live strong as well. So that also involves money. So therefore, I urge everyone not to, go into a frugality mindset, because the danger is you are too protective of what you have and your focus is on what you have, and it kind of limits you because you don't think about what else out there that you could have, right? There's so much, there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many things out there that you can actually go and enjoy. So why not go for it, right? Your mindset should be, how can I afford it? Find a way to afford it, rather than I can't afford it, I only have this much, therefore I'm limited. So frugality is something that Fran and I don't quite practice now, right? I would say the closest for us, if we were to be qualified as a FIRE couple, is F.I.R.E, right? But we don't stop there as well, right? Even with F.I.R.E, we don't stop there, because F.I.R.E still follows the 3 to 4% drawdown. So you see what I mean about the limitation. So what about FIRE? Don't see it as something that is a means to an end, but do pick up good money habits, principles, and the process, of saving money, investing, and then compounding. Those are all great principles to follow. Now let's talk about cash flow freedom, which is the concept that Fran and I follow. In this Financial Coconut article, or rather the quote that Fran and I were invited to us to share on their Instagram channel, it says that cash flow is the core of how we approach our finances. If we want to retire somewhere we make sure that we have the cash flow for it. So because we wanted to be financially independent and to have the ability to retire early, we make sure that we have the cash flow for it. And the secret to how you can have a strong cash flow that can keep increasing over time is to have multiple sources of income, which we shared below. The traditional way of retirement is to retire in your 60s with a sum of money, and then you would draw down bits of it every month till the day that you go, maybe supplemented by some kind of payout. In this case, in Singapore, is a CPF payout. Now, that is a way of how people retire, and it is very limiting because it means that your savings actually decrease over time because you have no means of how to keep increasing this amount of savings you have. And over the years, especially when you're in your late 70s, 80s, you might feel the stress of your money running out. One of the reasons why traditional retirement is built this way is because people will ask to study hard, get their degree or diploma, find that one job and work for 40, 45 years of their lives before retiring in this manner. So people's way of making money, the only way they know how to make money is to hold a job. So when they retire, they do not hold a job anymore. Hence, their income stops. What Fran and I practice, the cash flow freedom, is to have stackable sources of income that stacks on top of the other. It can be passive and active incomes alike, where it will take us past retirement. The skill sets that will take us past retirement, where we will not be counting our pennies and our lifestyle is not limited by money. That is the reason why Fran and I often advocate building multiple streams of income on this channel. And having those multiple streams of income is not just because we have nothing better to do. It's because this is the best hedge for you against anything that's changing in this world. The best form of investment is in yourself. When you invest in yourself, building all these skill sets that equips you to handle the dynamic changing environment, whether it's in the form of investments or having a side hustle skill set. That could be a high income skill as well. This will tide you through any kind of crisis because you know you have the mindset, you have the ability and the skill set to navigate through. What does this also mean? It means that you reduce your risk of ruin. By having multiple sources of income that could quite possibly be uncorrelated, it means you have different skill sets that you can count on during different times to bring you the income that you need to stay financially independent. In order to stay in the game of having continuous cash flow, you want to keep working. Wow, that's scary, right? Oh, I'm retired and I still need to keep working. Well, think about it this way. When you build your dream body at the gym, after months and years of hard work, do you then stop? Do you stop going to the gym to maintain your body? You don't, right? And there lies the danger of many traditional retirees these days. They have been working all their lives and working hard, and when they stop completely. How do you think those changes have an impact on your mental, your emotional, and your physical well-being? Now, that's what I'm talking about. Having continuous cash flow because you have multiple streams of income that you want to continue honing your skill sets, you want to still put in time and effort in them. But the beauty is because you have time freedom, you can choose how many hours you want to put in. For example, I used to be very aggressive in stocks. I use options to deploy my stocks. So sometimes I'll do buy call. So I have an account that's a few $100,000 that is pure buy call, which was very aggressive then. But then again, I had other streams of income coming in. Active income when I was still working. Now, after I became retired, I actually moved into slower moving, safer ETFs and the very, very blue chips where, it's a bit of a no-brainer, and I do option strategies that are a lot less risky, right? So because I know that now I want to shift more of my income mostly to passive and a little bit of active, which is my YouTube channel, right? YouTube channel takes active effort. So can you see how I have pivoted and changed after I moved from a very aggressive gunning towards my financial independence status, and once I hit it, I start to shift into slower moving, passive but safer assets. And in order to do that, I need to stay in the game. I still need to put in some minimal hours to observe the financial markets, to make sure my real estate properties are being rented out, everything is good, so that I don't have a tenant breaking contract and all that, to keep my passive income going. And that still takes work, but does it take 40 to 50 hours a week? It doesn't. It just takes a few hours a week. The concepts of cash flow freedom are really powerful. And I hope you can see that today. And the reason why Fran and I practiced and started our journey in 2016, and we hit her early ahead of time by 2020, in 5 years. So we are very grateful for that, and we'd like to share more about our journey with you and talk more about cash flow and how we practice it in order to get stronger and stronger, and having more cash flow as well. And really, it is, at the end of the day, it's not about FIRE is the way, cash flow is the way. It is really about what are the choices available and how you want to craft your path towards financial independence, and choose to retire early if you like to. So I hope today's video has given you more insights to different ways you can get to it. Again, I'd just like to reiterate that I have nothing against FIRE. FIRE has a lot of great money principles and concepts. Just don't limit yourself to one type of method, and if it stresses you and it becomes too difficult for you, because it's not easy saving 50, 60, 70% of your income, I must say. And find your way. You're right, it's a self-discovery journey. There will be successes and failures along the way, and I hope that through that self-discovery process, you can learn more about yourself, become stronger, and find great purpose in your life. Because at the end of the day, we want to live our life with purpose and flow in the rhythm, right? Flow such that we can, enjoy life, right? In whatever stage of a journey, and not just because we have an end goal and we just want to relentlessly get there while having, a lot of unhappiness along the way. And that shouldn't be the way to live life. Yeah, so if you like me to talk more about cash flow and, maybe the different how-to concepts, put in the comments cash flow, and I can share more in our future videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for your attention. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and we can share more content like this with you in the future. Bye-bye.